e-learning platform is, of course, established within the Training Academy of the Prague Process, which aims to provide tailor-made, targeted, high-quality training in line with the 6 thematic areas of the Prague Process Action Plan. These, of course, include irregular migration, legal migration, asylum and international protection, migration and development, return and reintegration, as well as integration itself. The Training Academy builds upon the products and activities of the Prague Process Targeted Initiative with its 7 pilot projects, and there were also so-called umbrella projects such as the ERIS project and the Eastern Partnership CPAP project on border management. ERIS was an integration-related project initiated by Austria, the Czech Republic, and Russia. While the course on Eastern Partnership border management is currently available on our platform. In 2016, there was the 3rd Ministerial Conference of the Prague Process, where the participating states decided to move on from these pilot projects to a more structured platform for capacity building, namely the Training Academy, which was then launched under the current project implementing the Prague Process, namely Prague Process Dialogue, Analysis and Training in Action. And we started our work in 2018 already with the Training Academy established. The Training Academy consists of a network of state and non-state trainers. We had several meetings between them. We are constantly producing materials that shall enhance capacity building throughout the Prague Process region. Of course, we were used to having face-to-face trainings and workshops of several days, but due to COVID-19, last year we had to rethink and adjust to current realities and started investing mostly in online trainings, but also webinars and other activities. While we hope to return to face activities sometime soon, hopefully next year, we believe that the e-learning platform is here to stay and provides an added value even when the pandemic might have ceased. We have an online library with training materials, handbooks, and also webinar recordings available in English and Russian, featured on the Training Academy on the Prague Process website. We, of course, know that the e-learning shall not replace face-to-face trainings, but it shall complement them and provide a good basis for their implementation. When it comes to webinars, these were our strategic group's response. Our leading states decided last year in March, when we had to cancel several face-to-face events, that we should still perform when it comes to dialogue, analysis, and also capacity building. And it was decided to introduce the Prague Process webinar series. The recordings of our, meanwhile, 20 webinars that we had can, of course, be found on the Training Academy website. Moving on to the e-learning platform. The e-learning platform is made in a way that is very practical, useful, accessible, and it really should serve state authorities. We have seen in the past that there is a lot of stuff, turnover and fluctuation. So our idea is to support state authorities in providing constant capacity building to their staff, be it new staff or already old personnel. Our courses are usually not advanced, but let's say medium level, without yet going into advanced level content, but this might change over time. The e-learning platform provides educational material for self-paced, independent, remote learning. This means that we have been looking at other practices and methodologies, and we have decided to go for something that is the easiest to access. You can always access your courses. You can start at any time and also have a break whenever you wish. There is no blended learning foreseen for the time being. Everyone can just access the platform and learn at his own pace. There are no live sessions foreseen, and also no particular time when you have to be there and join a session, but you are really free to stop and start whenever you want. There are also quizzes for self-testing. You will see that after each thematic area covered in the courses, you will have a little test. And these tests will then allow you, once you have passed 80% of the content and succeeded in answering to the questions correctly, you are also entitled to a certificate, which hopefully will establish itself as a good form of showing the knowledge that you have gained. Finally, we also have extra material featured next to the courses. There are links to databases, for example, to literature, and anything that might be useful in the context of the course that you see. We currently have 3 courses, and I'm very glad that their creators are here with us today. I will not say too much on the individual courses, but just inform you that there is one on identification and profiling at the border, which was done by Monica and Elena. Then there is the video course which we developed together with Rhino on labor migration. And there is also a course currently available only in Britain on integrated border management, which we inherited from the mentioned Eastern Partnership CPAP project. We are already working on expanding our course number. And I'm glad to say that we will have an online training 3 weeks from now in October. And this will also be recorded, edited, translated, and will feature on our e-learning platform. We have also agreed with Monica and our colleagues from the Border Management and Security Program to establish a video course, an updated content and video format on the currently featured course on integrated border management. And together with Elena Petresca and our colleagues from the Anti-Trafficking Program, we will also be working on a video format on anti-trafficking, advanced to medium level. Moreover, we hope to be able to cooperate with the European Asylum Support Office, but also with UNHCR when it comes to developing a course on asylum and international protection. Thank you very much. As you could see, once you register, the platform is pretty straightforward. As said before, we have tried to be pragmatic and practical and to provide you with a tool that is really easy to use and quite intuitive and easy to access. The platform, as I said, is reserved to member state authorities, and this is why the registration is so vital, because this was also a request from the European Commission, this platform is reserved exclusively to state authorities. Maybe let me add that our courses are meant to be of about, at least the video ones, of 1.5 hours is what is the duration that we set for our courses. These are not courses that cover all aspects in detail, that span over several hours and provide everything that you need to know on a certain topic, but they are beginner to medium level courses that provide a very good basis for further capacity building in this area. And also the rich material featured next to the courses can be useful for establishing also your own independent courses. So with this being said, I would like to pass the floor to Professor Rainer Münz, who will speak not only about the course on labor migration that we have established for you, but also a bit more on e-learning methodology more generally. Rainer, floor is yours. Thank you.
Dear Alexander, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to introduce the e-learning tool on labor migration, as Alexander Maleev has just indicated, but I would like to tell you a bit more about the whole e-learning and how it has developed. So it all started with what in English is called Massive Open Online Courses, with the acronym MOOC. This started as full courses for students, where the videos have a lecture format of 90 minutes. And it started with very prominent universities, including Harvard, Yale, the MIT, Berkeley, Stanford, and others, which are institutions where you have to pay high tuition fees to offer certain courses that were just taped. So the professor, male or female, was standing in the classroom, and a video camera was taping a 90 minutes lesson. And they were then put online so that students could look at these videos from home. So what you see when you're sitting at home is the professor standing in the classroom and talking to other students. And later this was developed in a format where there was no classroom, but the professors were directly speaking into the camera and talking to the participants who were online. But it was not necessarily live. The recorded videos could be downloaded or streamed at any moment in time, so that you could just learn whenever you had time, adapt the learning to your own schedule. But still, these MOOCs, 90 minutes, 12 courses in a row, so a classical student format. COVID-19 epidemic has made online courses from a niche product to the norm. Over the last 18 months, schools and universities, if they were doing something, it was mostly online. And so the teaching, both at schools and in particular at universities, happened online. And so this is one of the reasons why this is no longer a niche product, but this is now a kind of a mainstream approach to learning, distant learning. Now, there is another segment, and this is where we are operating in with this Prague Process platform. This is online learning, not for students, but for professionals. This requires shorter formats, different forms, not necessarily 90 minutes long videos, and not necessarily several hours of teaching and training, but videos that are shorter, more focused, come more quickly to the point, and offer professionals the possibility to consume them and learn besides having a job. I myself have developed such a format for an Austrian bank where I was working a couple of years ago. It was called a short format, an espresso with rhino, and it was about financial literacy and banking and insurance products. They are still online on YouTube and Vimeo if you are interested, available in German and English. So now let's move to labor migration. Labor migration, or seeking work and better income abroad, is the most important driver of mobility and migration, both within Europe and between Europe and Central Asia, and also within Central Asia. So this is the main form of migration. It's not asylum, it's not family reunion, it's labor migration within Europe and the Eurasian continent. This is why we thought we should offer videos that would introduce labor migration and the principles, and would offer some advice on how to handle it and deal with it. What you will find there on the platform is a short videos that inform on a range of issues. I will talk about this in a second, that are related to labor migration. You will find additional resources like literature and information and data sources for those of you or those users in the future who want to deepen their knowledge. So there is a possibility for self-learning. And as indicated, at some point in time, there's questions that allow for a self-test so that people who are using the platform can see whether they have been able to digest this information, or whether they would have to need to go back to one of the videos and maybe look at it at the second time. The videos that you find on the platform, that people who are interested will find on the platform, are in a row. They are ordered, and it starts with labor migration basics. It informs about theories explaining migration. It informs about the main actors, about sending countries, receiving countries, and national and international regimes regulating labor migration. And then they feature a few special issues. It's how to maximize gains from migration. It deals with brain drain and brain gain and brain circulation. One video talks about the portability of acquired rights and benefits of migrants. And a final video gives an outlook on future labor migration in Europe and Central Asia. Then, as indicated, there's this self-test that offers questions to different blocks of issues. So that's it from my side, and there will be a Q&A session in case someone has a special interest.
It's my great pleasure to be here, actually to be invited to this historical moment where we are launching the e-learning platform of the Prague Process. And now, just briefly, for those who do not know me, because I saw in the list of participants that there are several ICMPD friends and long-lasting contributors and cooperators. So I am very close to Prague Process, not only because of a great team and excellent work, but also that the Prague was my first place for the career. And I started as a police officer in immigration police in Prague in 1994. A long time ago. I was also seconded to the United Nations mission, and last 12 years I work for ICMPD. I implement several different projects on border management linked to different regions. And based on all this experience, we analyzed all the needs and gaps, especially in the training, and we try to use the most from it and to develop it in the Prague Process e-learning on different topics. I will be talking in my presentation briefly about the existing e-learning, I will look into the future, what we are still with Prague Process preparing when it comes to e-learning, and I will also explain a bit about the case study, what we already experienced, like the best practice. I have to highlight the fact that e-learning is nothing new, because ICMPD started to have their own e-learning programs already back to 2009. I remember that it was in Moldova where we developed the first training on document security. However, based on the analysis we have, based on discussions with the beneficiaries, with our partners, international organizations, we have to highlight also the fact that e-learning and online activities cannot replace the face-to-face trainings. Both face-to-face trainings and also online courses, they have many pluses and minuses, and we are very much aware of these. Therefore, we always try to put ourselves into the shoes of the target audience, and we try to use professional, simple, smart, great terminology, language which is understood to everyone. You saw at the beginning that also the registration for the e-learning on Prague Process is very user-friendly. I'm not very good IT expert, and I can be very easily discouraged from some courses if always this login procedure is difficult. So you will not face this in Prague Process, because it's very intuitive process, so to say. And from the online courses, we also try to look at the needs and to tailor them to the needs of different law enforcement agencies. When I look about border management and security program, which I'm representing here now, we have developed several different products which are just for one country, they are just for one region, they are just for one agency. But here I have to say that it's a great opportunity in Prague Process e-learning that this platform is open to everyone. So you can also learn the basic information on border management. You can exchange then also between each other at the interagency level, also at the international level. So this is also a great opportunity to learn either within the service or also individually. This e-learning should serve two-folded. It should be help for the personal development, for the individual learning, and also it should be supporting tool for the lecturers. I saw on the list of participants, and I see also who is participating to this webinar, that few of you are also acting like trainers. Therefore, this e-tool should be also understood as a way of methodology, what could help you to deliver some lectures. We also experience in some country that the e-learning is used as a basic lecture. And in the end, after you learn the basic information, as it was mentioned already by Alex, there is a quiz, and the person who passed the quiz will receive the certification. Several times, we also try this as a step into the intermediate on advanced training. So we just required the participants registered for some face-to-face training. Once you will have a certification from the Prague Process e-learning, then you are allowed to enter the advanced or intermediate training, which is great because then the level of the knowledge of the students is kind of equal, and we can start developing the information based on this. For the online trainings, of course, there is a big plus that there is opportunity to ask questions, there is opportunity to be interactive. Despite of the offline trainings, this is more static and questions are very often not possible to ask. So if there is some misunderstanding, the student might have a problem. Therefore, we always try to make the offline e-learning in a very, very basic way, not to go to too many details. Not only Prague Process, I would like to also put your attention on another ICMPD activities which are also focused on e-learning. This is the Budapest process, who is having the e-learning platform not publicly accessible to everybody. So this is not public e-learning, but this is a tailor-made, again, platform for the special law enforcement agencies from special regions. You saw already this slide, this screenshot. You also saw where to click, where you want to join the training academy. And once you will do so, you will enter the 3 existing courses. And 2 of them I would like to introduce right now, which were developed with the support of the border management team of ICMPD. These products are not done just by ICMPD, like we created it, this is the way you should do, not at all. We have several discussions, brainstorming and communication with the target groups. We spoke with representatives of different law enforcement agencies from your countries, also from the third countries, and from different international organizations. So the need is really mutual. This is not just that ICMPD want you to do something, here you go, not at all. So this is the joint product. And I would like to thank all who contributed to this preparation and talks. The first training which is there is on integrated border management. And I see that some participants here might still remember our former projects, which was Eastern Partnership Training Initiative, so-called FIT, where the first IBM e-learning was created. Based on this one, we moved to CPAP project, which was the supporting implementation of the Prague Process Action Plan, also with the Eastern Partnership countries. And there the e-learning on IBM was more developed. Life is developing as well as IBM is developing, so everything needs modernization and update. So we did so as well. And this basic course on IBM, on integrated border management, is now available on the link of Prague Process, which you can access. Under this e-learning, you can learn the basics which follow the guidelines on integrated border management in the European Commission external cooperation. And the topics under this course are linked to the basic terminology, to document integrity and security, linked to detection of forgeries and also impostor recognition. Chapter is also given to the risk analysis, detection of drugs and smuggled cigarettes and tobacco products, combating trafficking in human beings. And last chapter, but not least, is linked to the fighting corruption in border management. Again, you finish with the quiz, and you can use it like a basic, also supportive tool to the guidelines, which are accessible also online. The second online training is on profiling and identification at the border. Here I will not go to too many details because the next speaker and my colleague Elena will describe as well. This training is already in a different format. This is recorded online training which we delivered to Prague Process member states. And under the profiling from the border management perspective, we focused on the general terms. What is profiling? Why is it important? What are new trends in identity fraud at the border? How to recognize impostor? How to recognize more photographies, and much more. This is what is existing and what you can access already today upon the login to the e-learning. And now I would like to talk a bit about the future, what we are planning and what we already started to do. Since the new developments are also attacking the border management sphere, we would like to create different modern ways of the e-learning. Because each of us is different also from the learning perspective, and the audience of the e-learning might also prefer not only to read, not only to see, but also to hear, because this is also increasing the learning element. And from this perspective, we would like to record specific movies, to have a lot of interaction regarding the case studies, practical examples, not to be too much on the theory. And again, we would follow the guidelines for integrated border management. In the future, we plan to have 20 chapters under this video recording e-learning, focused on similar topics as I mentioned before. So the basic pillars of IBM introduce differences and linkages between interagency cooperation, international cooperation. Again, risk analysis from a different perspective and more detailed. Document security also focus on the anti-corruption, also how from the procedural part can be developed IBM strategies and action plans, more focus on the border checks and the details. Also, we would like to record some chapter on the migration management, looking from the human rights and at the border, linkages to the contingency planning, also the quality control mechanisms, focus on the training and capacity building in border management, and last but not least, also focus on the transparency, accountability and integrity in border management agencies. So a lot of work to be done, but we believe that this will improve the e-learning platform, and this will also help the students or all of us to learn in more efficient and effective way about border management. I would like to tell some story from the life, what we learned during the COVID, because COVID time influenced everything, each of our lives, also the border management life as well. So what we learn during this time, it's true that the e-learning and online learning improved, and we increased also our knowledge on the format, on the ways, on the possibilities. And in border management activities, we experienced hybrid formats, which can be also called like blended formats. So the terminology sometimes also differs. We developed a lot of online, delivered online trainings. We invested in the e-learning, but of course, we didn't stop to implement face-to-face training. So we also did those. And the practical exercises, I will show you also some examples. And still, we also contributed with the official manuals and guidelines on different specific topics linked to border management and needed to different countries in our regions. We are helping not only students, we are helping also a lot to the trainers. Therefore, we invested also some efforts, and we believe that it's also key to deliver training curricula and training manuals for the trainer, because we have many experts, but sometimes it's different if you need to transfer the skills and knowledge to somebody else. So from this perspective, we also have a guidelines for the trainers, how to perform better, what to do, what methodologies to use, what to learn from your students and how to approach them. A part of that, because every one of us has a mobile phone. I don't know anybody around me who would not have it. So we also took this into consideration, and we created some apps for smartphones, which can be also used by a wider audience of participants. So you can also learn different topics from border management also in the apps. Hybrid format, or so to say blended format, was also used during the COVID times much more because of the different travel restrictions, where international experts from one country was not allowed to travel, another one was able to travel to the region, but it was needed due to confidentiality or sensitive information of the training. So then we faced this situation that one trainer was in the classroom with the students and one international expert was delivering lectures from home, something similar like I do today. It proved to be a very good method. I would say personally that even better than online training, because there is a support on the spot. So there is assured kind of interactivity. So this would be also very recommended when it is coming to combination of online e-learning and the physical presence in the class. Then online format, I don't need to introduce. There is a lot of negatives. For me as a trainer, big negative is that very often I don't see the students. And there is sometimes with some countries difficulty with the internet connection. So there is a lot of technical issues which has to be solved. But again, for the basic trainings, basic information is very appreciated and very recommended. This is another example when we could see the participants, we could have a discussion, we could also discuss information in detail. So after having the e-learning, after having the hybrid or blended format of training, physical trainings, we this year also implemented the physical exercises, practical exercises. This one is from the border crossing point of the maritime. This is in Port Tema. And after the delivery of different trainings and also regulatory framework on contingency planning, we realized the practical exercise, which could be linked to different scenarios. It could be linked to possible terrorist attack, possible massive influx of migrants. It could be also linked to the pandemic. And you see that we involved a lot of agencies, not only from law enforcement, also civil society, both the communities, medical health services, because we believe that these exercises cannot just be forgotten and has to be accompanying the theoretical trainings and the e-learning, which was at the stage before. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would be very happy to hear your comments in the end. And at this moment, I would like to give the floor back to the moderator, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you also for reminding me that I did not mention two sort of actions that we still try to implement within the Prague process, namely study visits and expert missions. The study visits mostly concern non-EU member states traveling to EU countries, but there's also the expert missions which feature EU member state experts going to non-EU countries. This is something that we are trying to bring back to life, believing that small groups of people, say from one country, could at least travel to another country in spite of COVID. And we recently had such a first study visit since the pandemic started. And we hope to follow up with further such initiatives that, of course, have many benefits as compared to pure online meetings. With this being said, and after this rich portfolio of the border management and security program, I would like to pass the floor to Elena Petresca from the anti-trafficking program of ICMPD.
Thank you, Alex. Let me just share my presentation before saying that I would like to thank to all the participants. So today, Alex and Monica and Rainer spoke a lot about the advantages and disadvantages for e-learning tools. So I would like to reflect my presentation today about our part in the e-learning course of the Prague process, and that is addressing trafficking in human beings. First, let me tell you something about myself. I'm Elena Petresca. I'm anti-trafficking specialist within the ICMPD anti-trafficking program. I have long-standing anti-trafficking expert knowledge as well as substantial research experience. And in the past 13 years almost in ICMPD, I have been involved in implementation of many anti-trafficking projects in the past, which were implemented both on national, regional, international level. So let me tell you a bit more about my colleagues, about the ICMPD anti-trafficking program. So we are a team of professionals that implement, coordinate, and oversee projects and actions under the ICMPD thematic expertise combating trafficking in human beings. What we actually do, we support state authorities, but also civil society organizations and other stakeholders to understand the human trafficking phenomena, to formulate and deliver coherent anti-trafficking response accordingly, of course, in accordance with international and European standards, as well as to build strong international partnerships and networks. We are therefore working on the nexus of the crime, human rights abuses, migration, asylum policy in order to protect people from exploitation. The anti-trafficking program possesses a high level of technical expertise underpinning the development of distinct anti-trafficking tools relevant to 3 thematic components of the program's work, which are deployed within our own but also other ICMPD projects. So first, under the policy, as I already said, we support states to develop comprehensive and also up-to-date anti-trafficking policies. And we also contribute with cutting-edge expertise to the global policy debate on trafficking in human beings. Under our operational pillar, we do capacity building and technical assistance provision to all stakeholders involved in the identification, assistance, and protection of victims of trafficking and other vulnerable groups. And our participation in the e-learning platform in the course is basically part of our capacity building activities. And as I said at the very beginning, we also do research. Basically, we provide the knowledge necessary for the development of evidence-based anti-trafficking responses and policies. The anti-trafficking experts, as I said, have long-standing experience in supporting different stakeholders. When I say different, I mean here a range of actors active on national and international level, and those are criminal justice actors, national anti-trafficking task forces, labor inspectors, social workers, civil society organizations, media, parliamentarians. And we support them. We act in various countries depending on the projects we implement by developing a rich set of tools and training materials. What is specific for our job in this context is that we support the state authorities to develop their own standard operating procedures for identification, referral, and protection of trafficked persons, as well as indicators for identification of victims of trafficking. As you could see on the slide, those are pictures from our various capacity building activities. We develop and maintain full-fledged training programs, which are tailor-made for different audience, and we elaborate training curriculums, modules, trainings of trainers. And all of these programs are aimed to equip the various government institutions and civil society organizations and other actors, of course, with technical know-how, contributing to building sustainable institutional responses, policy formulation to tackle THB phenomena in a comprehensive manner, but also building of skills of the key stakeholders in order to respond to trafficking by identifying the victims of trafficking, protecting their rights, and of course, bringing the perpetrators to justice. In the framework of our various capacity building activities, 2 years ago, in cooperation with our dear Prague Process colleagues, we have developed a trainer's manual on trafficking in human beings. You see this blue publication on the slide. The goal of this manual is to guide these users in developing and delivering training sessions covering 10 key areas combating trafficking in human beings. The manual provides content and as well technical implementation information for each session, brief instructions on the process of teaching, and useful insights about learning. So manual is developed to serve to the anti-trafficking stakeholders from the participating countries of the Prague process. Actually, it's a practical guide that can be adapted to fit the training needs of the participants, having in mind your profile. Some of you, as Monica mentioned, are trainers, you do training. This manual could be used for in-house trainings delivered by professionals with a certain level of training expertise to an audience with no or maybe basic knowledge on the topic of trafficking in human beings, or it can be also used for training of trainers programs. I would like to reflect on the course we did jointly with our colleagues from the Prague process and from the border management ICMPD program. I will reflect on the part addressing trafficking in human beings, which we as a program were responsible for. This program, this course was based on the manual I just mentioned. This course was developed and delivered in June last year. Actually, at that time, we needed to adapt to the COVID new situation. The course was previously meant to be held face-to-face, but then we needed to quickly adapt to the online environment in order to, of course, have the event done. At that time, we faced a little challenges in order to adapting it, to make it more interactive, to be in interaction with the participants more. And we did it good, I think, at that way. This training also mirrored the objectives which are foreseen in the Prague Process Action Plan, and such as, for instance, proactive identification and provision of adequate protection and assistance to vulnerable population, sharing good practices on return and reintegration of trafficked persons, as well as combating trafficking phenomenon in an irregular migration context. Of course, the aim was to strengthen the capacities of the border agencies involved in the integrated border management and in the profiling and identification of persons crossing the borders, but also inland. And as I said, we joined our efforts. Monica discussed about it a lot with the border management program. I will speak a little bit more about the training content. The training included interactive sessions on the trafficking phenomenon, understanding the crime, the relevant international instruments containing the definition of the crime and its elements, such as, for instance, the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime and its supplementing protocol, well known in the public as Palermo Protocol, stating that the national governments are obliged to harmonize their national legal frameworks within with the international anti-trafficking instruments they have ratified. Further, the course provided information on different trafficking forms, trafficking for sexual exploitation, trafficking for labor exploitation, which I could say are a little bit traditional, but also to the other forms of exploitation that are very actual in the lately in the period, also trafficking in children, trafficking for domestic servitude, trafficking for forced criminal activities, forced marriages. And of course, the course also provided info on the current trends of trafficking, touching upon the specifics of the COVID-19 pandemic environment, how these trends and forms of trafficking have changed in the pandemic situation. It also provided a chance for the participants to understand the trafficking phenomenon in a regular migration context, meaning though that even the trafficking on one side and smuggling on the other side are totally different phenomena. The line between those two crimes becomes blurry in an irregular migration context, and many smuggled people easily become victims of trafficking. That's what our research has also shown. What is important for you is that the course provided and also provides, because it's still relevant on the Prague Process eLearning platform, it's still there, provides the opportunity for the professionals to learn on how to detect a potential trafficking case in their daily work, and how to refer it and where to refer it to which focal point or institution for further assistance and protection. Here, presentation of the common trafficking indicators was also presented and was very helpful for the participants, so they could basically in their daily work detect that something is wrong with this case and that suspect that there might be trafficking case behind. Actually, the course came in a timely manner, raising the awareness of the professionals concerning the particularities relevant for identification of trafficked persons within the national borders, as well as when crossing the borders in an irregular migration context. It also provided interactive sessions, we were analyzing short videos with the participants, we had polls, and we also had case studies so the participants could recognize the elements of the trafficking crime and thus distinguish the trafficking from the other similar and related crimes. And now, at the very end, I would like to announce, already Alex said that at the beginning, also Monica was talking about it in the part of the border management. I would like to announce that we are working with the Prague Process colleagues on developing new e-learning course on trafficking in human beings that would be launched on the platform within the next year. The new course will cover both basic and advanced aspects related to the phenomenon, so the participants can gain theoretical and practical knowledge that can be further used in their daily work. Our capacity building interventions, of course, have been always articulated following a logical needs assessment and clear understanding of the existing knowledge and expertise of the beneficiaries of the capacity building trainings where we operate, in this case, Prague Process countries. So we will take this into consideration as well, your knowledge and capacity, and also the knowledge and capacity of the various stakeholders working in these countries. And the new platform will be therefore produced in a more professional way, not just recorded online course, and will include visualizations for the training content, as well as possibilities for interaction, practicing. It will be adapted to the needs of the Prague Process participants and beyond, as I already said, to be used by a wide range of professionals such as migration authorities, border guards, anti-trafficking professionals, police representatives, public prosecutors, criminal justice actors, labor inspectors, social workers, etc., etc. The course participants, by attending 1.5 hour or 2 hour course, we will see how long it will get, but it will be short for sure. We are planning to do so. The participants will be able to build solid knowledge and will be equipped with tools and technical know-how that could support them in their professional assignments. I will stop here. That was short from my side about the course addressing trafficking in human beings.
Very much. Thank you for this very relevant question and very interesting question. I would like to say that ICMPD doesn't create new terminologies, or we are not coming with something which is completely different from EU good practice. So we really follow the EU good practice and we promote it also in other countries. And from this perspective, we look at the profiling as a supporting tool during the border control, because we all know that travel documents, passports are so well secured that it's more and more difficult to forge them or falsify it. And criminals or the bad guys who wants to cross the borders, just to simplify, they try to look for more cheaper solutions, which can be exactly in this profiling field. So profiling we see indeed like more complex system, and it's focused on body language of the traveler, comparison of the person in front of us with the passport, because of course it's wrong if passport check is done just by border officer looking at the document, not comparing with the person who is in front of us, because then it's very often happening that the imposter case is here and a different person is traveling with a genuine document of a look-alike person across the borders. So beside body language, we are also focusing on multicultural differences. What can be normal to our culture doesn't have to be normal in another culture. So by understanding these things, we can also misunderstand some behavior. We are focused a lot on profiling strange behavior of people who are, for example, smuggling. So if we are sharing the tips and tricks, what you should look at as a border officer, as a frontline officer, it can help you to identify either to possible criminal, possible terrorist, possible smuggler, possible another criminal involved in the cross-border crime, but also, and more importantly, during the profiling, frontline officer, if he knows how to do it, can identify who might be a potential victim of trafficking, who might be the person who doesn't want to cross the border, but it's forced for some different reason. So all these details we are focusing on. And I have to say that this is very difficult subject for online courses because of the GDPR and all these data protection rules. Therefore, we do profiling online in very basic way, just a start point. And then we do profiling in the classroom in face-to-face regime much more deeper, because we are using the pictures from the real cases, which we cannot upload for clear reasons online. There is a lot of pictures for the impostor of the real cases, which again we cannot upload on the website, and also pictures from the morphing situations and cases. So this would be really exactly the topic which would need to be combined with online and face-to-face lectures. But I would like to encourage you already today to enter the profiling and identification course to attend on the Prague Process eLearning, because there is a lot of details which will explain more what I just said.
Yeah, so as I have said in my short presentation, I think the COVID pandemic has opened a window of opportunity for online training, because this has become more normal now. In the past, people might have been reluctant, and the idea was that everything has to be, in presence. But it's probably easier to convince employers that people can engage in online training than to send them off for, I don't know, a week or two, or to send them off a day per week over an extended period to an institution, which is not only time consuming, but if people are coming together from different countries, that's also costly in financial terms. So I think it has opened a window of opportunity that needs to be grasped. I'm also convinced that we still continue to need physical presence or periods where people are gathering. Now, the important thing is to understand that learning online is something different than sitting in a classroom. Yeah, because when you sit in a classroom, you have the full attention of the audience, or maybe people are dozing or not interested, but they are physically present. Whereas when you are teaching online, you are in competition with anything else that people could do when they are either in their work environment or at home. Because the boss could come in and say, I need you now for a second, or whatever. So this is why it's important to have these tools available, in the sense that people can really dig and go on the platform when they have time, and they could stop the video and then continue watching it later. Whereas you cannot stop a teacher. So when you, I don't know, your children or your mother or your father is calling, and you have to get out of a classroom as a student because, I don't know, there's an issue at home, you're losing the content that is happening in between. Whereas with this online teaching, if the course is not live online, but if the course is provided via a recorded video, then there is really the possibility to cater to the need. And the next thing is that the presentation has to be different, because when you are in a classroom, you can look into the eyes of the people and you get an idea whether people are attentive or not. But when this is remote, there's other ways you need to make sure that people are staying online, get involved if you're doing it live. But when it's a video that people can download, we need to think about other forms of feedback mechanisms than just giving people, encouraging people to ask questions or have a Q&A session. Yeah, so when you have pre-recorded videos, the Q&A has to be organized in a different way. So maybe we need a chat function, and so that people can, I mean, the institution that provides the video would stay in contact with the people who were teaching or who were doing the videos, and then you can, maybe there's a possibility to ask questions online or whatever. I mean, this needs to be thought into this direction. How do we organize a feedback process? How do we understand whether the videos, whether the learning really caters to the needs of people, things like that. This would it be from my side.